Initial Thoughts is a spoiler-free movie review series. All opinions are my own.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Initial Thoughts, a series in which we talk about films as and when they're released. Today's film we're talking about is Belfast, which is written and directed by Kenneth Branagh and stars Jude Hill, Jamie Dornan, Katrina Balfe, Judi Dench, Ciarán Hinds and a host of others. So before I get into talking about Belfast the film, I thought I would address the elephant in the room. If you didn't realise already, the tone of accent I speak in, I am a resident of Northern Ireland. Quite literally, Belfast is close to home, and it is a place that I have been a lot of times in my life. It is my closest capital city. It is a place that I've been throughout a lot of large parts of my life, and it is a place that I do certainly hold dear. So there is more than a vested interest in this film already before I even see a minute of the film. And when I heard that this was being made, and I heard it was being made by both written and directed by Kenneth Branagh, who of course grew up here and has a real affinity to the Northern Irish culture and life here, I knew it was definitely the right person to be making a film like this, especially with the political and maybe tumultuous subject matter that is being talked about and being explored in this film. And it's not something I want to in any way talk about. This is a film to talk about movies, and that's where I'm going to go straight into. Let's talk about Belfast the film. So firstly, when I went to book my ticket for Belfast, I noticed quite bizarrely that it was only an hour 38 minutes, and I thought, is that a good indicator or is that a bad indicator? And that's something we'll get to, and we'll decide that as we go in the review. But when I seen that it was only that short amount of runtime, I wonder, is there enough to explore the story being told? But then I seen that it was also, it was selected at the Toronto Film Festival, so it certainly comes with some credence. When you attach Kenneth Branagh's name to this, and actually when we were watching the trailers before the film itself, his big film coming later in the year, Death on the Nile, with a real top cast, and that whether that film's good or not, you'll obviously see it on this channel when it comes out. But it just shows the level that Kenneth Branagh is working on. Obviously, he had to work in Tenet not that long ago. Obviously, the jury's still out in that film. But certainly Kenneth Branagh is one of the better working directors today. So not only was it good that, as I mentioned before, he has a connection to Belfast and Northern Ireland to do this, but he also isn't just some B-rate director either. He really does come with some credence, which is a great thing to have for this. But the main thing about all this is, did I enjoy Belfast? Did it live up to an expectation? Did I have any expectations? I don't really think I did, to be honest. I know I've said about just there about coming in with the high level that Kenneth Branagh brings to what he does, and also the affinity to the film without seeing a minute of it. But I wasn't really coming into this expecting anything groundbreaking or absolutely fantastic. And to be fair, I don't think I received that either. But that sounds really like a critique. I liked Belfast a lot. I liked this film a lot. I did not adore it, and I did not absolutely love it, but I thought this film really captured a lot of what I wanted. I have my father, my grandfather. There was a lot of things I seen in some of the character traits throughout this film that reminded me. It was nearly like in some ways there were some memorable parts that I connected to in my brain with there was a real resonance with a lot of things, and that was something, first of all, that it kind of got me into the film as it started. There was a real connection with that. I wonder how that would translate to people who maybe aren't from here, or our American viewers, or folks in England, or around Europe, or just anywhere in the world. I wonder how much this film would resonate. But here, close to Belfast, I certainly found that the mannerisms, the characteristics of basically everyone, and also the chemistry, the sense of community with Kenneth Branagh did a great job of encapsulating the charm, but also the sad nature and the sad, real nature, from all accounts and purposes, of what was going on in the late 60s and kind of onwards here in Northern Ireland, and it really is a film that I think it does have a charm. And I suppose when it has such hard-hitting subject matter, it's weird to use the word charm. But the reason I use the word charm, I could talk about the other performances, and I will talk about the other characters in a moment, but there's one character alone in this, and that's Jude Hill as Buddy. Because while the other performances are great, and as I say, I'll get to them, Jude Hill is the bread and butter, to use a Northern Irish term, for this film. This is one of the... Is it too far to say one of the best child acting performances I've seen? I thought he was fantastic, and his role in this is so pivotal, and I would imagine the selection process for this young actor to be in this role was a long-winded one for them, because to get this right was the everything of this film. And Jude Hill's performance, obviously this is an introductory role for him, and it's not something that he's not really been in anything before, but for this to be your first real breakout film, your first real starring role, and for him to play the character so well, it cannot be understated. He is everything in this film, and he is absolutely brilliant. And I don't have enough words to credit his performance in this. A child acting performance. I would say the best one before this would be the young. Oh, I'll have to get the name. Oh, it was Roman Griffin Davis as Jojo in Jojo Rabbit was the last truly great child acting performance I've seen, and this I think is probably the best I've seen since then, and that was 4 years ago, something like that. So I had off to Jude Hill in this. But let's talk about some of the other performances too. Jamie Dornan is an actor that I think gets labelled as the 50 Shades of Grey guy, a bit akin to the way Robert Pattinson is still kind of labelled the Twilight guy, maybe not as much recently. Jamie Dornan is an actor that I don't know. I'm not sure where I stand on Jamie Dornan, because he has a great performance in him. For every bad performance, there's a good performance, but there's never a host, or maybe host is the wrong word. There's no string of good performances for him. It's kind of one good, one bad, one good, one bad, and that's where I'm at with him. Because prior to this film, I would say this probably is his joint best performance in anything. The only other thing I would say he's really good in is The Fall, which is a television show made by the BBC and obviously set here in Northern Ireland as well. If you haven't got a chance, that's something. And I don't often recommend television shows, but that's a series that, while it tailed off a bit near the end, certainly the first and second season were real top quality, and he was brilliant in that. So it certainly has the acting chops, and I did like his performance a lot in this. But I actually preferred his wife in this, Katrina Balfe. Katrina Balfe is an actress that I admittedly don't know too much about. She's very new to me, but I thought she was brilliant in this. Her as the mother, or the ma, to use the Northern Irish lingo, as this was in this film was. I thought she was great. I thought she was maybe the second best performance in this film. I thought she was really. She encapsulated a lot of what a lot of folks here would resonate with as a mother here in Northern Ireland. Another two performances that I should also mention is David Judi Dench, of course, and I know a lot of people maybe give her some flack, certainly here in Northern Ireland. I know my own mum, she said, well, why is Judi Dench playing a Northern Irish woman, because she's English? And yeah, I mean, that factually is right, but I thought she was pretty good in this, with her best Northern Irish accent put on, of course. But the real other great performance I loved in this was Ciarán Hinds. Ciarán Hinds is great in a lot of things he does, and he maybe isn't the most well-known name on the acting scene, but him as the Granda, or the Pop, as he was known in this film, and his dynamic with Jude Hill as Buddy, the kind of grandfather and grandson, is a real... that's kind of the... It's kind of the wisdom character to the young Buddy, because obviously the mother and the father, and there's already all these other dynamics going on, but there's a real connection between the grandson and grandfather, and that was something that I really did enjoy for this film. It's a film that I like this a lot. I don't think I loved it. I think there maybe could have been a little bit more explored. One of the guys I was with when I seen the film, obviously I said about the runtime, it was quite short, and he said it felt like it went over nearly a 2.5 hour film, and it kind of does. There is a bit of a pacing issue to an extent, not to the point where you're checked out of the film. There was no point where I was checked out of the film, but there is an element of there was slow moments, but there's a lot of great moments, but there's a lot of, not filler, but there's a lot of moments that were a lot slower, and you can imagine if they were filming a lot for the film and they were just cutting and pasting, there's like maybe 5 or 6 scenes that could have been intertwined into different parts of the film, and that did seem to come across. There was the key moments of the film, and then there was a lot of middle scenes, as I would describe them, if you get what I mean. So that's certainly a slight knock on it. I did hear someone say to me, "Oh, well, sure, it's in black and white." And I actually think the black and white added to the charm of this film. I thought that was maybe a positive, because if this had been maybe in full colour, I don't know. I suppose we'll never know. But I did think that the black and white was done in a way. It was a weirdly beautifully shot black and white. It wasn't like watching a movie from the 50s or the 60s, or maybe even further back than that in black and white. It felt like it was 4K black and white, which is, I would imagine that's exactly what it is. But it felt and looked quite wonderful in black and white, and that's something I haven't really seen before. And obviously that adds to the dynamic of the setting, with it being in the late 60s, and it is that kind of black and white televisions. I know it was around the time of colour televisions too, but it kind of intertwined that there, and I just thought that was an interesting choice to choose to make it in black and white, but I think it's one that paid off, for me anyway. And overall on Belfast, I would have to say that it had a lot of emotional and dramatic moments. There was moments that were genuinely hard-hitting, but there was also a lot of comedy moments. There was genuine laughs in the cinema I was in. I laughed a few times myself. There was some genuinely good crack, as it would be called here. CRAIC, not the drug. And there genuinely is a good... I said it already. There's a charm to this film. It's hard to watch at times, but it also was a worthwhile story being told, I felt. And I would also say, before I finish talking about the film itself, I would say that I would imagine with Kenneth Branagh growing up here around that time, based on the age of what he would be now, I would, if it's written by him and it's directed by him, I would imagine Buddy or Jude Hill is a surrogate for Kenneth Branagh. If it's a semi-biographical piece, I would imagine that is certainly an element of it. There's a point where, yeah, I don't know that for sure. But I would imagine Kenneth Branagh as a youngster would probably look a bit like Jude Hill as well. I don't know. Maybe that's just me waffling. But anyway, let's move on to rating time. As you can see, IMDb's not gave it the highest of high scores, but it's also gave it a pretty reasonable score too. I am giving it a good bit higher than IMDb, but I'm not breaking it into the top tier of ratings. I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. I debated giving this an 8.5, but I don't know that it would be worthy of the 8.5, to be honest. Maybe if I was being very generous, and maybe if I watched it again and loved it a lot more, maybe I would bump it up to the 8.5, especially for some of the performances in this. That's the thing that is so good about this. this film, Belfast. I don't think that the actual story being told is truly 10 out of 10 worthy at all, or even 9 or 8 out of 10. It's probably like a 7 out of 10 story, and it's been worked up and performed. The performances really boost this upwards in my estimation, and that's a real credit to the cast, all of them. That's Jude Hill, that's Jamie Dornan, that's Karina Balfe, that's Judi Dench, that's Ciarán Hinds, and whoever else is in this film. There's that many. Yeah, Belfast is a film that I heard some people before I went in saying they were underwhelmed by this film. I don't know. I was the other way around. I kind of went in expecting not too much, and thoroughly enjoyed it for a lot of it. So that's where I stand on Belfast. A film that I would definitely recommend. I would be interested to hear people's takes on this around the world. You know, not us here, because me watching this film is going to be very different to you watching this film, because there's a certain element of, it's nearly, in some ways it's like watching a documentary nearly for me, whereas for you guys it's something that is maybe borders along more of the line of fiction for that, if you get what I mean, which is not a bad way. I think I would maybe rather, well, I don't know, maybe it's the connection is why I enjoyed the film so much, or did give it a good score. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for Belfast, and I would definitely recommend it to you guys. And yeah, that's my review. I did enjoy this film. Not to the point where it was an absolute masterpiece, but also not to the point where it was just an average film either. A good time in the cinema for me, and as I say, that probably is due to other reasons as well. So it would be interesting to hear how you guys, if you didn't enjoy this a lot, or it just wasn't really for you, and I would understand either way. If you do enjoy listening to me and want to hear more, I have a lot going on. There's a lot of international thoughts to come. We have a lot of films coming out in the next month and 2 months and ongoing. I'm also running another series called 5 of the Best. This is a monthly series. It'll be released on the 1st of the month, and it goes through celebrating years in film. So if that's something you'd be interested in, a subscribe would be absolutely beautiful. If you did enjoy this video, a like would let me know. And yeah, I really appreciate you for taking the time out of your day to listen to me talking about yet another film. And if you want to stick around, I would love you for it. And that's about it. And I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Before you go, here are some of my other videos. For updates and information on upcoming videos, the best place to find this is my Twitter. Much love, everyone.